presentation. This is our, what do you call it? We're doing a type of study on online versus in class, and this is our 20-minute in class portion. And thank you for coming. We're going to be learning about Lean today. I don't know if any of you have a background in it already, but for those of you that don't, Lean is basically in layman's terms, Lean is cutting the fat. And it's a thing that's used in business, it's used in engineering. It's something that, it's a great thing to learn before you get into the business world, before you get into engineering environment. Every one of you will at some point in time in the future be in a business type setting. And Lean is what I like to call, it's a common and it's a simple type of thinking, but it's something that people don't use. And it's something that this country is starting to use more of, and by learning it, you're really going to understand a lot about how a company can reduce its waste, which is a big thing in Lean. It's all about reducing waste and cutting down on what you spend in order to increase your profit, to make your customer happier, and to make more money. So Lean is something that you've probably used in your everyday life and didn't even realize it. Lean practices, for example, are if you're walking to class, you walk straight to class. People in Mountain View, for example, go right through the fence and walk straight down to class. They don't even attempt to walk around. And the reason that is because it's quicker. You want to get there as quick as possible. You don't want to wake up the 10 minutes earlier or whatever the case may be. And that is, for all intent and purpose, a Lean process because you're cutting down on your waste. You're not walking as long. You're getting there quickly as possible. And you're not taking the long way because that would waste your time and then you'd have to wake up earlier. So that is an easy way to think of Lean. It's something that we use a lot, and it's something that even if you're not an engineer, if you're in business, you're going to hear it a lot, especially economics. They use a lot of these terms. So to start off, we'll be talking about some of the Lean belts. What is Lean? Waste, non-value added activities, value-added matrix, and the 7 wastes. So here are the belts, and there are the yellow, blue, green, brown, and black belt. And the thing about the belts is you have to get a green belt before you can get a black belt, but you don't need to get a yellow or blue belt before you get a green belt. They actually offer the green belt course here over the winter time. And it's a lot cheaper to get it here than once you become a professional. And it's a great thing to put on your resume as an engineer, as a business student, science. It's a great thing to have. It's a great thing to have when you get into the business environment because you'll understand a lot how wastes are and a lot how businesses work. So the best definition of Lean is it's a systematic approach in identifying and eliminating waste or non-value added activities through continuous improvement by making products on time with best quality and lowest cost. So these are some of, like, you can see the red are the hot key words within Lean. Eliminating waste is all about cutting down on the waste that a company has. Non-value added activities or people are things that go into a product that aren't needed. So ironically, engineers, people that are management, upper level management are a waste in terms of Lean because we don't add anything to a product. The only people that add anything to a product are the people who actually put the product together. So the operators are the only ones who actually add any value to a product. Continuous improvement is what it sounds like. It's continuously improving in order to make a system that's better and to cut down on our waste. And we want it obviously on time with the best quality and the lowest cost so that we keep our customers happy. Waste and non-value added activities are anything that adds cost to the product without adding any value to it. So like I said, people that aren't actually doing anything to the product to make it better or add value to it are actually a waste. So an example of that would be when you buy a phone. You don't pay for the chips that should go in the phone, like the processors or things like that that are bad. You don't pay for the phone falling on the floor and breaking and them having to make a new one. You don't pay for the engineers who designed the phone or the people, their various management that keeps the employees working. You don't pay for any of that. All you pay for is the phone. So think of it from a customer's perspective. If it's something you wouldn't pay for when you're buying it, then it's something your customers aren't going to want to pay for when they're buying it. So that's the best way to look at a non-value-added activity. Basically, anything that changes the end product that the customer is not willing to pay for is what that is. So this is the value-added matrix. As you can see, if it has a value, if it's good for the product, meaning if it adds value, if you're putting a product together and it continues to make the product work, such as like with pizza, if they're putting like toppings on it, that's a value added because you're getting a pizza and you want a pepperoni on it. So pepperoni is a value added. You see that as a good thing. You're paying for that. But you're not paying for the delivery person to give you the wrong pizza. You're not paying for the person, like the manager who runs the pizza place. You're not paying for the like the oven to work or not to work. So that's value added and non-value added. If it has no value added, especially in a big business, you either reduce it entirely, or eliminate it entirely. Because if you keep it, then obviously you're going to keep your products at a higher cost. And you don't want to do that because in a global economy such as we have now, the customer can easily go to another supplier. They can easily get a new person to supply them with what they need. So we have to make sure that we can keep our prices down, but at the same time give out a good quality product. So the 7 wastes, which are the main foundation of lean and all that it has to it, are overproduction, inventory, waiting, motion, transportation, rework, and overprocessing. Overproduction is just what it sounds like. Its production rate is sooner, faster, or in greater quantities than the absolute customer demand. So we don't want to make more than our customer wants. If a customer wants 10 of a product, you don't want to make 20, because by making 20, that's a huge waste. You are having your people work on more than they need to. So you're wasting their time when you could be making another customer's amount. You're also wasting inventory because now you're putting it together to make parts that you're not even going to use. So it's just an all-around waste. It causes you to have excess transportation, extra space, inventory carrying costs, and quality issues depending on how many you make and the issues that occur. Inventory is a waste. I know when I first heard that, I was surprised because we all see inventory as being a good thing. Having inventory makes it so that we have enough in case we need to make more. But when it comes down to it, inventory is a bad thing. It's a waste because it's beyond what the customer needs and it's beyond what's necessary in order to meet the demand. So it lengthens the time it takes to make it. It ties up our capital, so our money, increases risk of it becoming obsolete, and it has quality issues, high space requirements. These are all things that inventory causes. So we like to think that inventory is a good thing, but in reality, we're wasting a lot of time putting inventory in a specific spot and keeping it there, keeping it maintained depending on what it is. Depending on the type of product it is, you might have to keep it weather controlled, which costs a lot of money for something that nobody even ordered yet. It's nice to have for a rainy day. I guess that's the mentality we've always had. But when it comes down to it, it's a waste that's not needed. Motion, which is basically to move, add value, is called work. To move and not add value is called motion. So from moving a product here, there, to the next place to a place where it doesn't need to go, is considered adding a waste. So Why it's a waste? It's because it's lost time. There could be ergonomic problems, injuries, it's less efficient, high fatigue, and extra costs. Now, the class we're actually taking for this is called Human Factors and Ergonomics, and the reason this has a lot of ergonomic problems attached to this and why this is so important, especially in our country, is because by having people move something, depending on what it is, not only can we risk breaking the product, but we can also risk our operator. They could get hurt, they could become badly injured. One of the biggest problems in our country is WMSDs, which are they're work-related musculoskeletal disorders, which are basically lower back pains, anything that has to do with hurting yourself, hurting like arm pains. You hear people that have their lower back issues. That's what that is. And $1 in $4 we spend in the United States is spent on that, having to give people money because they get hurt on the job. So we want to decrease our motion, not only because it makes our product better, but also because we don't want our people to get hurt, and we want to cut that down as well. Waiting is another waste, and that just has to do with idle time, lost capacity, unhappy customers, underutilization of our resources. So really, when it comes down to it, we don't like to wait. People barely want to wait 2 days for Amazon to deliver what they just bought, so we don't want our customer to wait. But it also has to do with our people that are working for us. We don't want to hire 5 people to work for an 8-hour day and only utilize 3 of them because we're wasting money and resources. We're wasting time when they could be making something. So waiting for inventory, waiting for machinery because it's down is considered a bad thing. We have the transportation, which is movement of product or material from one place to another without adding any value. So that again has to do with motion, hand carrying it by a conveyor, truck, anything that is transporting it and not adding any value to it is a waste. So it adds cost, and like I said before, it adds more opportunity for you to damage it. Overprocessing is another one, and that has to do with performing an operation that is not required to manufacture or assemble the product to the customer's expectations. Another form of overprocessing is quality and assurance checking the product before we send it out. But we, as most companies, feel that it's a necessary non-value added, and there are such things as necessary non-value added. And obviously checking over our product, even though it's considered a waste, is beneficial for us. And it's beneficial for us because we don't want to send a product out that has a defect. And that is actually the next one. Defects are a waste for us because once we send out something that is broken, we have to rework it. The customer is unhappy because we just sent them something that didn't work, and now they have to send it back to us. We have to rework it. We have to put new parts into the product. We have to get more people, so potentially hire more employees to rework it, or we have to give our employees that we already have on this project, so now they're not making the ones that they should have been making, so now we're holding up other customers down the line. So as you can see, there's a lot of waste that comes with it. In the company I was at this summer, the problem we had with our defect was we ended up having a $5 million defect. It had to do with just people not greasing the bearings when they were making it, and because of this, the customer was upset, sent it back. We had to rework every single one of them, had to hire new employees in order to rework it, and obviously we don't charge them for reworking, reshipping, giving them new product, and now they're not happy because their customers aren't happy because we gave them something that they put in their product that didn't work. So we could potentially, luckily we didn't lose the business, but in some cases you do. So defects are something that we really need to cut down on, something that we need to check before we send out. It's why we need standard work in order to make sure our process is the same so that people do it correctly, so that when we send it out to the customer, it is correct the first time. And that's the end of our presentation. Thank you for coming. We're going to give you a quiz and a short survey. And then on your way out,